So I'd like to welcome up Kevin Deer first to be our first speaker. Kevin has been employed as a school teacher at the Mohawk Immersion School since 1989. He is a faith keeper in the Longhouse and a resource person in the Iroquoian worldview, philosophy, treaties, land claims, and Native American historical perspectives. He worked for Mohawk language and spiritual revitalization for the past 36 years. In September 2015, he brought the First Nations perspective to the Bretton Woods IV convocation on economic concerns. He presented Native spirituality at the United Nations World Interfaith Harmony Week and the World Forum on Theology and Liberation in Montreal. He participated also at Standing Rock. Welcome, Kevin.
Kevin's going to do an opening ceremony, and this whole hour and a half is we're weaving a tapestry of ideas and experiences for you. So it's all, each person's bringing a piece of a puzzle. So just stay open to synthesize all the different parts. Thank you.
Quequeza Voguego, Tenizu Ganizo as one when is the Rade, a Guego what Kunawaradu. Honda Signora Tkadasa, Wagare, Karana, and Chucherut now on Kadaronodo. So I welcome each and every one of you here to this presentation in my own Mohawk language. As you know, we didn't have a writing system, but we kept a lot of our knowledge and information in wampum belts, and I'm going to explain that a little earlier. But before I go any further, this is not just a simple water drum. This drum explains our whole entire creation story. It explains who we are, where we come from, why we're here, where we're going when we leave this place, and it's all complete. Water is life. From that water, then comes all the plants, the trees. And we are the two-leggeds and the animals, then we take that, that's what this skin represents. And then when we come to this lower world, we're all given the sacred breath. Each and every one of us, whether we see it, understand it, believe it or not, we're all participating in a sacred dance. And that sacred dance is the dance of life. Your heart is beating, your lungs are expanding and contracting, the snow comes, the snow goes, our grandmother moon rises the oceans, lowers the oceans, so this is that sacred dance. We're all here today because the plant life and all of those things in that sacred cycle web are all doing their job, they're doing responsibility, and that's why we're not thirsty and our stomachs are full. We all have a belly button. And because we have a belly button, without a doubt, we all know who our mother is. We know who our grandmother is, our great-grandmother, and when you follow that link all the way, it takes us right back to Mother Earth. And that cosmic energy that we call Father Sky, as a result of that love, here we are, children of the universe. So now, just to start out with that sacred vibration that we hear, when we sing our sacred songs, this represents our own creation story. We all understand that we reside on a snapping turtle's back. And when we sing the Great Feathers Dance, our Creator song, this is what we use. So all of these things are incomplete. So now I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. And as I sing this sacred song, in your mind, connect to our first mother and all the elements from Father Sky and that great universe, that we're all children and that we're grateful and happy to gather here in peace, love, unity, and gratitude. So when I say weo, you answer by saying hey. Weo, hey, hey, weo, hey, weo, hey, weo, hey, weo, hey. Kuyane, 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 yo-ho! Weo, hey, weo, hey, weo, hey, weo, hey, weo, hey, woo, wee. Very good. Sit down. Thank you. We, the Indigenous people of this land, as you know, are all deeply spiritually connected. Our Mother Earth, the universe, the elements speak to us every day, all the time. And if we take the time to be quiet, to listen and observe, you'll get all the answers that you need. I wasn't always born with this knowledge and this information because I come from a community where the Judeo-Christian belief is all what we were raised with as kids. But as a young child growing up, I began to question. And I said about that form of worship is good. But what was our people's understanding of worldview prior to European contact? So I went back to my elders, I picked up my language, my ceremonies, my song, my dances, and now today I tell a different story. Now, I lost my dad 3 years ago. When my dad went into the spirit realm, the day that he died, I was the one who told the doctor, do not resuscitate him, let him die. And even though that was his wish and his will, I struggled with that. And when that tightness came in my throat and my stomach was feeling a certain way and all that, I said, Dad, we know that there is no such thing as death. You're in the spirit realm now. You can traverse from the spiritual to the physical just like that. And I said, if you can give me a sign to prove that all of this indigenous knowledge and wisdom that we believe is true and right, I said, that would be great. I said, if I open my eyes and there's nothing there, well, you know what? The life expectancy of a typical Canadian is 77 years old. I'm 57, so keep the seat warm because in 20 years I'm going to join you in the Great Sky World Council. My dad's name is Fred. Our last name is Deer. After we left the hospital, we go back to the reservation. I was sitting in the kitchen and started getting too hot. People were coming all over because, as you know, on a reservation, we're all extended family. So I went to go sit on the front porch, and as I was sitting there, my partner says to me, she says, hey, what kind of bird is that on the line? And I look up, it's a mourning dove. That reminds me of another story that happened in June of 1999. My dad came visit me one day. As he came up and I gave him a hug and a kiss and told him that I love him and all of that, on my clothesline, a little fledgling robin lands. And I said, Dad, I said, see that bird is a messenger. I said, we're going to get a message. I start making coffee. Lo and behold, one of our spiritual leaders, Tom Porter, is on the phone. He says, Kevin, you know our good friend Ward? I says, yep. He says, I just got word his 3-year-old daughter died. He says, I cannot get to Albany right now, but can you drive from my community, it was just near Montreal, to Albany? It's on a 4-hour ride, and I'll put the burial. I said, sure, yes, I would. So the second story, bird on the line. So anyway, I'm thinking about all of that and just what I'm going through. And I said, imagine if I open up my eyes and my dad communicates to me. Now, my dad's name is Fred. Our last name is Deer. This whole story started as a result of my partner saying, what kind of bird is that on the line? I opened my eyes. I said, wow, get my camera. There's the letter F. My dad's first name is Fred. There's the dove. The story started about bird on the line. And when you turn it, there's the letter D. Fred, Deer, bird on the line. Wow. No, some of you sitting here are probably in awe of all of that. But it's nothing compared to when you tap into all of these things, and our people always understood that. When we buried my grandfather, my mother's father, he was my anchor in my life. I had no spiritual belief at that time. Because when I listened to the radio and all the confusion about Big Bang Theory and coming from monkeys and all of that crap, I finally said, you know what? There's no such thing as God. There's nothing. I even went and told some of the older men in the reserve, I said, what happens when you die? I said, you're dead. You're not going nowhere. There's no such thing as spirituality, nothing. So I remember, and at that time in my life, I don't cry. Real men, you don't cry. Babies, sissies cry, but a real man, you don't cry. And that was my belief at that time. Anyway, long story short, we bury my grandpa, and he comes to me in a whole series of dreams. And he teaches me and tells me so many stuff. He tells me about the Great Sky World Council. which is based on our Constitution that influenced the United States, and here it is, right here. This is our Constitution, our great law of peace. Remember, we didn't have a writing system. So I asked my grandpa, I said, Grandpa, I said, how do we communicate like this and you're supposed to be dead? He said, there's no such thing as that. The minute I expired in this physical world, I went into the spiritual world, and forever and ever and ever, this is how it is. We sit in this great Skyworld Council, and the center of that Skyworld Council is a little drop that represents the earth. And we're always intervening now, spiritually to the physically, back and forth, because if we ever stop, the world will dry up and there'll be no more life. I have a big picture hanging in my living room of my grandpa, because he represents the elders, he represents the Great Spirit, all of that going back to the beginning of time. And this past May, 2 years ago, I come in and look at that big painting and something came out and hit me. And I said, no, we're going to give you a deeper revelation. Now, this is pretty profound, if you can get what I'm going to share with you right now. What did I just say happens to my grandpa and to us in the spirit realm? We're part of what? A great sky world council. What's in the center of that council? The earth. So now they're like angels. They're those ancestors that are always intervening, that divine intervention that is always constant. Now, instead of looking at it as ancestors and the earth, get this. Look at that little speck as a human egg. And those ancestors sitting around as human sperm. And when that sperm connects with the egg, here we all are. The miracle of life. If the egg does not connect with the sperm, there's no life. If the spiritual ancestors ever stop connecting with this physical world, there's no life. Now, if you get what I just said, that's pretty profound. Because it helps us, without a shadow of a doubt, to understand who are we? Where do we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going when we leave this place? So, here we are now. We're talking about Mother Earth, global warming, climate change. If any of you get a chance to understand some of the works of Joseph Campbell, Joseph Campbell talks about the hero journey. Moses goes up to Mount Sinai, he's given the law. Jesus goes out and fasts in the desert 40 days, 40 nights. Blackout is on Harney Peak. And he gets to the hub of the universe. And the hub of the universe is where stillment, and you reduce it to its smallest minutiae, movement become one. Axis Mundi, everything going around the North Star. Bring that all down to its smallest minutiae, and that's the beginning and end of all things. And Blackout knew what that was. He was at that spiritual hub, and he saw that it was within himself. Then as he looked around, he saw that it wasn't only within himself, but it was in every human being, and it's in all of this life that is part of the great mystery, the Great Spirit Creator. That's pretty deep and profound. Because if everybody understood what I just said, what Black Elk understood as a little 7-year-old boy, all the wars would end today. There'd be no famine or poverty or what. There would be no kings, queens, because we're all equal. We're all children of one cosmic father, one Mother Earth. Kuyane, 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 kuyane. Yo ho, weo, 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 weo. Woo! Very good. Sit down. Thank you. And we are the result of that love. But as a result of money and capitalism, now we are at the precipice that if we do not begin to change our relationship with the natural world, we're not going to be here very much longer. There was a meeting held 2 weeks ago in Korea. It was called the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And they're looking at computer-generated models, and they said, we as a global society have 12 years left to begin to change our relationship with the natural world. And if not, when those ecosystems start to collapse, we're going to find out just how much money, prestige, and ego really is. And we're going to talk about solutions. I think my time is up now. I'm going to end there, and I'll present now to the next speaker. Thank you very much. One of the things that I've come to understand that I didn't believe as a little child and a young man was that the earth is truly our mother, with a spirit where she can feel, where she can heal, just like all the beautiful women that are in this room right now. When I went vision questing and fasting, that hero journey, Joseph Campbell refers to as departure, fulfillment, and return. Not everybody's going to do that in their life. Give up your wife, give up your kids, give up food and water, and go sit on the bosom of your mother. And that little bug, that little ant that we step on every day, because as human beings we think that we have dominion over them because we're bigger and more powerful, you come down to this place of humility and you ask that ant brother, brother, how can you help me? Pitiful me. Because I'll get off the beaten path. I'll drink, I'll smoke, I'll do drugs, I'll be violent, I'll kill, I'll do all of that. But you remain true to the way. And when I asked my earth mother, I said, Ista, in my own language, how can you heal me and help me? She said, take this soil, which is an extension of my body, lay down and wrap yourself with it. And in a spiritual way, I went back into the womb of my mother. And I says, wow, if I could choose the time of my death, it'd be right now. Because imagine, if I would have never did this ceremony, I would die one day, go back into the womb of my mother dead, never be able to tell this story. And I thought that was pretty profound. All of a sudden, self-doubt came and said, this thing, you just made it up, it's not real. Put my sacred tobacco down again, I said, Ista, mother, I need something that without a shadow of a doubt, that is going to solidify in my mind that you are a true woman with feeling, with love, and you could heal me. And Ista says, get up, and in that sacred circle, count your footsteps. Wiped off the soil, and I said to myself, what's the logic to that? And I tried not to be too analytical. I just said to myself, all right, heel to toe. I walked, and when I got to that sacred number that I blurred out in my mind, I got down on all fours, and I kissed my mother. And I says, from this day on forth, when I tell this story, I don't care if anybody says whatever. They could not feel the intimacy and the love that was reaffirmed. And that number was 36, and I was 36 years old when I decided to go out and do this vision quest and this healing for myself. And when I came down from that sacred mount, I had a whole different idea now about how I understood me, the world, and where we're going. You know, there was a conflict. Our people started to kill each other in May of 1909 over gaming and gambling. I got together with some of our leadership because when our government that was spiritually introduced to this turtle island, that prophet said that in the time, if we ever came to this place of despair, that we would go and do this ceremony and call for this divine intervention. And we did that on May 6th of 1990. Then we got into war with the Canadian government over the expansion of a golf course. And the indigenous spiritual resurrection that we talk about is here and it's happening. And this whole earth is the Garden of Eden. And as much as the Great Spirit is up there, it's in here. And we better clean up this mess that we created, because we are responsible for what we're doing. So now, when I came up to this awakening, I said, how is it that in this land that we call Turtle Island, that the Great Spirit placed our ancestors here, that I'm a slave today? We talk about freedom, there's no such thing as that. Each and every one of us are economic slaves today. If you look at the monetary system and how that whole thing is run, we're just little pawns in the game. Our great prophet, the peacemaker, told our people that it was one dish with one spoon. There's no hierarchy, no kings, no queens, no emperors. All the people are equal. This is all of this land, and you share it. You take what you need, work together, you be mindful of those future generations coming so that when they'll be born, they'll inherit a happy, safe, clean, beautiful, peaceful home. And what are we doing? Now, how do we get here? Money. And what it does, and when that was introduced to this terrible island, it created all of this problem. Now you have rich people, middle-class people, poor people, and people who look at the earth as something that they can just have dominion over and destroy. And that's what we have to begin to address. So now I have this idea, and going back to our prophet, he said it's one dish with one spoon. We all co-equally have a right to this sacred garden. Not the ruling elites, not the multinational corporation and the billionaires, but all of us, all the children of the earth equally. So now we have to rethink our relationship to money, where money works for us and we don't work for money. So now they came up with this idea of a World Bank, an International Monetary Fund, General Agreement of Trades and Tariffs, which talks about the World Trade Organization, and they aligned themselves with the people who make money. Because it was said, whoever controls the money controls the power. So now what we have to do is we have to understand that. We have to look at monetary reform and come up with a new idea. And my idea is we need an indigenous spiritual World Bank that is not based on greed, that is not based on plummeting the earth, but says that we equally all can participate in the Garden of Eden. And I'll leave you with that because it still has to be fleshed out and understood, but we have to understand that we're in this because the monetary system also has to be realigned with all of this great knowledge and wisdom that is being shared here, and I'll leave you with that. Thank you. So negadi tsini dawaiha, wasti honda tsini ar tagadasu, tagatko edo Karonhianonhnha tsini gane kanawano sra. Negadi wai ona ya kahwe te tawan hodu. Negadi wai tsini tsuga iswas oni sarade, tsinua ni desawenu ayamski nono, azwatandi negonua jotkuskana. So that's what we do in my culture. Whenever we open, we do these words that talk about all of these things that sustain us. We're a small part of that. Now that we release our minds, we say that when you get back to your home and loved ones, that you find them all in good mind, good health, good spirit, until we'll have the opportunity to be in each other's sacred presence again. With that, thank you.
Thank you for coming. And we have some handouts and a sign-up sheet if you want more information about the trust frequency and our work. And SallyRanney.com. And as far as Kevin, I don't know how you reach Kevin. You want to give them any contact information for you, Kevin? So thank you for coming. We hope you have transformed through trust. And go on. Pardon? Oh, the book, the Trust Frequency book is available here. We have a few, but it's also in the bookstore down in the exposition hall. So, thank you so much for coming.